Hi DPS 5th graders, we are here for lesson 3 regarding our essential question of how does a poet's use of structure and language allow them to convey their voice and message. Our learning target for today is revolving around explaining how a speaker's point of view influences how events are described. As always, make sure that you are pausing and rewinding as you need so that way you can have appropriate understanding of this video lesson's content, and of course making sure that you have enough time to read and get all of our notes down. And along those lines, please make sure that you have something to write on and write with. All right, so of course we know that we read to learn, and when reading poetry, we're reading to learn that message that the poet is trying to convey, and they can use this, they can convey this through their use of structure and language. Today we're going to be reading Adrian Sue's Peaches, and we're going to be thinking about how is that poet's message influenced by that poet's point of view or the speaker's point of view. So we're going to be completing this graphic organizer together during our video. You have a similar one for your assignment. So go ahead and pause and make sure that you have this graphic organizer down, and then come on back once you have it written down. All right, so we're going to go ahead and read this poem Peaches, and we're going to read it at least 2 times. The first time we're just going to read it to read it. So go ahead and pause and read it, and then come on back and we'll talk about it. All right, so you should have paused and read the entire thing, and I'm just going to think about some initial thoughts, because after this first read of a poem, we can just think about some initial thoughts that we have. All right, so it looks like it is talking about peaches, and peaches are important because she's from the Peach State, which I know is Georgia. And then she's talking about how she, even though she was born and raised in Georgia, a lot of people ask, where is she from originally? Because of the discrimination that is being shown to her. And she says it's the homeland of the peach, which is China. So she is Chinese in terms of ethnic origins. And then, but she was born and raised in America. And so her parents are immigrants, and she talks about how they're typical immigrants' children and how hard her parents had to work, and also talking about some of the food they had and her mother's patient effort. Okay, so I'm kind of like thinking through all this. Now that I've kind of got my initial thoughts down, let's think about, I went too fast. Let's think about our questions. Okay, so who is the speaker of the poem? Well, the speaker is a girl who is a Chinese American and the daughter of immigrants. I'm guessing it's Adrian Sue because she is talking in the first person, but we don't know for certain. But I do know that she can. She's Chinese American, she's from the Peach State, and her parents are immigrants. So when I'm filling in that graphic organizer, that's exactly what I said. And I'm also putting in some of those quotes. I'm from the Peach State, typical immigrants' children, to help back that up. Again, make sure that you're pausing as you need so that way you can get this down. What events are present in the speaker's life? Well, she's obviously having some discrimination shown towards her because people keep on asking, where are you from originally? She talks about how she's both a stranger and a native in her hometown. So she was born in her hometown, but she feels like a stranger because of some of this discrimination, because she does not necessarily look like others around her. So she's also, putting all of that in our graphic organizer, and also putting how her parents are working very hard. And so that's an influence on her as well. So how is she affected by these events? Again, I'm looking back through and thinking about finding those quotes. Well, people ask her where she's from originally, and she feels out of place. And I've put that quote, both strangers and natives on a lonely, beautiful street. Again, remember to pause as you need. All right, so let's now put that all together to go ahead and hit our learning target of I can explain how a speaker's point of view influences how the events are described. So before I show you, let's think about how all 3 of these create her point of view, right? This creates that speaker's point of view. So then how do all of these influence how those events of the poem are described? Well, it does it in a couple of different ways. The first one is that the speaker truly lived through these moments, so she knows them. The discrimination that she feels alters her view of the town in a negative way because she feels out of place. That's where that unaware of hunger, except when asked the odd, perplexing question, comes into play. She also describes the work of her parents with gratitude and respect. So that's how her point of view influences those events. You're going to do the same thing with the poem Learning to Read, and the poem and the graphic organizer can be found on the next page in your Canvas module, so go ahead and head there.